Hello and welcome back to Screen Babble. Screen Babble is your must-listen to podcast where we'll take you through the best in TV. On today's episode, we're looking at films we've been enjoying both on the big screen and at home. Think Toy Story 5, The Odyssey, etc. We're also looking forward to September and the big hitters coming to your screen. Oh, and we both finished The Bear finally, so we're going to chat about that too. I'm your host, Kelly Crichton, and I'm joined by TV critic Matt Mohan Hickson. Matt is here to tell us what's hot and what's not, as ever. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty sad today because there's the news about Dolly Parton. We throw around the word legend a lot these days, don't we? Like, someone does like anything vaguely half decent, people are like legend, icon, but if there was ever a legend or an icon, it's Dolly Parton, and so I was really sad. It's sort of we didn't come out of nowhere, did it? Because she there was stuff about her being poorly earlier this year, but it feels like it came out of nowhere.
There's a weird feeling of like, oh God, if Dolly can die, everybody else can die. You know, she was this larger than life, amazing character, and she was so unique. You know, there's no one like her, and she just had a really good take on life and a really decent moral compass. And a kind, funny, fun, talented person. And we were lucky to have her. She was fab.
Definitely. And, like in a world where rich people use their money to get more money, it's quite nice to have someone that like did good and didn't do it just for like a photo op as well, a lot of it was like a hush good. Like she just did it.
She was very canny person. But she, one thing I hadn't heard before, like obviously we've all heard about her book charity, the kids' books, but she also, Dolly World, her theme park, she had a hiring policy that aimed at older people, so that people who maybe couldn't get jobs in later life or were sort of semi-retired or whatever, she would hire those kinds of people, which I think is absolutely beautiful as well. She was a real humanitarian, and it's a shame she's gone. But yes, she had put out something earlier in the year saying, "I'm not feeling so well, but I'll be back." And
that's a good impression. You nailed it there. You nailed it.
She's so cute. I'll miss her. Oh, but there you go. So yes, but she was an actress as well.
She was.
And she starred in 9 to 5, which came out in 1980 when she was probably at almost like the peak in her career, I guess. But she's never really gone away, has she? So that's actually available on Disney Plus. So I might do some Dolly watching.
It's been a while since I've watched that. And there's also the was it Here I Am, the documentary that was like on the BBC at Christmas a few years ago, which when I was trying to like calculate the years ago that it was, I was like, that was like pre-pandemic. That is quite a long time ago.
Something weird about the years since the pandemic, like they've been compressed or something. Isn't it?
It's just like what?
Yeah, the quickest sort of 6 years ever. But
it's like when I see something and it's like 7 years ago, I'm like, oh, nice. It was like 2012, and then it's like, oh no. That's the Here I Am documentary is really, really good, and there's a really good bit where it talks about how she composed 9 to 5, the song, on her nails, like the da-da-da-da-da, she did it like on her nails. Like, she came up with
like tapping out the tune. Oh my God. She wrote Jolene and I Will Always Love You on the same day.
Same day. I mean, that's just wild, isn't it?
Amazing. Anyway, hail Dolly, and long may her memory and her goodwill live on. On to cheerier things. What have you been watching, Matt?
Well, I finished watched and finished House of the Dragon season 3.
You finished it? Amazing.
I thought it was really good.
I think I passed episode 2 or 3 yet, maybe. I think
it's good. It's good fun. Like, James Norton is fantastic in it, but I mean, James Norton's like fantastic in anything. Like
Oh, so he's going to come more to the fore. He hasn't really had
yeah,
much of a role
he's
in the
just like
first couple of
the
episodes.
villain of the like the season villain,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's just really fun. Like they do a lot of fun with that, and yeah, all the actors are brilliant. Like Matt Smith's just
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Like
Mm-hmm.
Emma Darcy is fantastic. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've seen lots of like memes from the season of like just like things obviously they weren't meaning to be memes, but like their
Yeah.
acting is just like yeah, it's just it's a fun season. Like it's not as good as like the best of Game of Thrones,
No,
obviously,
it
but
never
like
will be, I don't think. Yeah.
it's really fun and like I think at the moment, we we need a discussion as a society about how negative everyone is on social media about everything. Like everyone's
Yeah.
angry all the time, and sometimes yeah, just enjoy a show. It's fun.
It's interesting that you bring that up because I was going to say I find it like I'm terrible for scrolling on my phone when I'm watching TV, and
Yeah,
I find it really difficult to scroll when I'm watching House of the Dragon because you kind of have to really follow it, like to get all the because I guess it uses sort of archaic language and stuff like that. You need to be, and there's so many characters, it's like so, you kind of have to be on top of it. So I find that it's anti-scroll, which is a good thing because you have to put on your phone, and actually concentrate on the program. So,
and
yeah,
yeah, and I also started its replacement. Sainsbury always has like a show on Sunday nights that's like its show of the time. It was like A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and then it was like Euphoria, and then House of the Dragon, and now this thing Lanterns. And I didn't really know anything about it. I'd heard stuff that it was a bit like True Detective. I was like, Carl Chandler's in it, and Aaron Pierce, who's a bit of a rising star. He was in Rebel Ridge. I think yeah, Rebel Ridge was the name of the film on Netflix a couple of years ago that was really good. But I was like, oh yeah, cool. Like Kyle Chandler's fantastic. I'll watch anything with him in. And then it was a superhero show, and I was like, oh okay. It was like it's quite good. Yeah, it was like quite good, but I was not expecting it to be a superhero. But yeah, yeah, it's pretty fun. Like yeah, it's pretty fun. I'll check back in later later in the autumn. Um, but yeah, away from that, obviously the bear, which we'll touch on. We finished the bear
Well, let's talk
finally.
about the bear now. So,
Yeah, let's dive
because
in. Let's dive
yeah,
in the
we've both
bear.
done the
Yeah,
bear. So I only finished it like a couple of nights ago,
yeah,
and
same.
interesting. Like I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes in quick succession because they were only half an hour long. The last couple episodes are like an hour, and the first thing that struck me straight away was that the music was completely different. The pacing was completely different. So in the first few series, I was always banging on about how much I loved the music because it was really like 90s grungy, REM, Pearl Jam, all that sort of stuff, right? Which was right up my street. And I kind of loved it. But straight away with the new series, it was like fast dance music, like
Yeah,
proper rhythm. You were sort of
like
being carried by it, like taken with the music was
yeah,
taking you along, like it was forcing you forward with the chefs, with the everything that was going on, the momentum and stuff. I thought that was really interesting. So obviously they made a big effort around pacing, Um, and it was interesting because I think for most of it, like we talked about before, it is set in kind of real time, so like over one day or one service. And for most of it, you're like, trying to figure out what's going to happen. Like the whole way you're like, this is going to go wrong. This is what else
yeah.
terrible could
What's the
happen.
next problem? Like,
Yeah,
oh no,
you're like,
someone's fallen through the roof.
and you're constantly on edge
Yeah,
waiting for, which I think a lot of those kitchen dramas always make you tense and.
yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, they've continued to be able to do that really well. I think there was a risk of it becoming too much of a Hollywood ending. Um, but I think that we've got to know the characters so well that you could still see that there was flaws and trauma and everything may not work out, but things were moving in the right direction for a lot of reasons or whatever. So without giving too much away, I think they wrapped it up really nicely and really satisfactory. I'm sure I didn't look up any of the criticism, but I'm sure there's people out there going, it was too neatly wrapped up or whatever.
it was neat, but it also wasn't like because it was one of those endings that's just like, yep, they're gonna go on. Kami's gonna do something else, maybe. Like I like that him and cousin Richie had that like sort of
Mm,
final, moment together, like after they'd sort of fallen out for quite a lot of
I
the
wasn't sure if
seasons.
Carmi and Sid were like going to have a kiss at some point or something. I wasn't sure. And then, yeah,
This season moved away from that, didn't it? Like, in the past, like, I remember everyone was like, yeah, the was it shipping? Is that what people online call it? Which took me a long time to realize that that was nothing to do with boats, and it's because it's like relationships. It's like
okay.
why does everyone call it shipping? It's got nothing to do with boats. And then I was
It,
like, oh
it
yeah, that
almost would have
tricks.
belittled their relationship if they had made it romantic, because there was this sort of mutual respect around their skills as
And it was a
chefs and
professional,
helping
yeah, it was like a
friends.
professional based relationship. But yeah, I really enjoyed the final season. I liked that. Obviously, I don't know whether it was choice or production stuff because they were all so busy, but like season 3 and 4, they weren't like everyone was like so apart. They weren't like they were like siloed off, and this whole season everyone was together, and it was like that old magic of all these people just bouncing off each other, which is just really fun. And I was thinking as well, like the dialogue in that show is really naturalistic because
I think that it's probably only semi-scripted, especially the stuff that happens outside the kitchen, all the crack with the boys, cousins and all that. I think they're kind of, you can tell they're kind of physical humor people, so there's a bit of slapstick to it almost.
And just I noticed there's a lot of like often people saying which you don't really get in
Yes.
like
Or
because
kind of semi-talking over each other like we are now.
yeah, yeah,
But
like
I
because
think it was exceptionally well cast, like
oh yeah, I mean
exceptionally well cast. There wasn't a misplaced character, person, actor. Like everybody was perfect and they were so individual. Every single character was so identifiable. Yeah, it was really excellent. I kind of said it's over now as well, but at least it ended on a good high note.
yeah, and I think Cousin Richie is one of the best characters in recent times, like in his whole arc, and I think he's really good. And it's not surprising that so many of these actors have gone on to be in like movies and had sort of not career second wings because they're all sort of relatively young, but like sort of like revivals. Like, I mean, Tina's spoiler alert for later in this discussion, but Tina, the actress who plays Tina's in the new Spider-Man movie. I was like, hey,
Is
it's
she?
Tina.
I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know that.
I was like,
Wow.
nice. I'm glad to see you're in other things. Like, it's really cool. Yeah.
I don't know if you had this, but I often had to remind myself that it was Chicago and not New York.
Yeah, yeah,
It was so
yeah,
New
yeah.
Yorky, don't you think? I don't
I
know.
think so.
Maybe I don't know Chicago well
Yeah,
enough or something. I don't know.
yeah. I have like relatives in Chicago that I've never been. So, like, down the line. I mean, Irish heritage, of course, we've got
Yeah, yeah,
relatives.
we're everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, great. Anyway, hard recommend for the Bear, the new series, the
Yeah.
whole thing really. I mean, you can forgive it losing its way a little bit, but
And I think like season 3 and 4 now you can binge them. Like it's
yeah,
not as bad in a way. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
It's not as built up. Yeah.
it's not as like, oh shit, I've got to wait a year. Like
Hmm.
it doesn't feel like treading water anymore because you just you're
Hmm.
sitting down to watch it over a few weeks. Like
The other
yeah.
thing about it is the food imagery and photography and cinematography was absolutely outstanding. My
Yeah,
God. I mean,
don't watch it on an empty stomach.
oh, just so beautiful. Like the time and energy that must have gone into prepping those plates and those dishes. And oh my God, it was just, I presume they've won loads of awards probably for cinematography. I don't know. Um, but absolutely outstanding. Okay, right, moving along. I have been watching, oh my God, tons of mad stuff, but the things I'll mention are the Idaho Murders 3-part series
Oh
on
yeah, on Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah,
Yeah, so this is probably something a lot of people will remember because it was horrendous. It was like 4 or 5 college students got murdered. Four. Um, sleeping in their beds one night. And yeah, there was a big kind of furore obviously around it, and they thought it was someone they knew, and then they didn't, and was it a stranger, and all this stuff. And anyway, this series goes into detail and has great access. It actually has lots of the family members and the kids who lived nearby or knew the kids well or whatever. So it's kind of eye opening in that you're like, oh my God, was that the case, sort of thing. They probably didn't need to do it over 3 episodes, but anyway, worth a watch, I would say.
I agree, and it's interesting the dynamic of like the sort of amateur sleuths on TikTok, isn't it? That
Yeah,
like plays quite a large part. That's become a
yeah.
recent thing where people try to solve this murder and
Oh,
like
that stuff
just
makes
start
me
like
really
accusing
uncomfortable.
people, and it's like,
Yeah,
guys, this is not like watching a TV series. This is like
yeah.
real life, isn't
Ye
it? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
I think that's problematic. There was definitely like Netflix not were really focusing in on that there for a while, this, oh, look what these amateur sleuths have uncovered type documentaries. But actually, yeah, this is just a very sad story, to be honest with you. And you just kind of go about the process. Yeah. So that was that. And then I have started watching, and I'll have to come back to it again, a series called Furious on Disney Plus.
a murder thing. Is it a
Yes.
murder thing? Yeah,
Yes, it's a female serial killer who is picking off wealthy businessmen, and uh, Emmy Rossum plays Alice Black. She's a FBI agent who was a cop, um, and she's kind of come across this case, and she works with a fabulous character who is the head of the FBI's sex crimes unit. The character's name is Nora, but it's played by Quincy Tyler Bernstein, and her character is absolutely the hardest person you have ever met, but with like a really dark sense of humor. I mean, I guess you probably have to work in that business, but it's very female led cast. The characters are much more than the two-dimensional female characters you get in a lot of stuff. Very interesting. And I guess the story, without giving too much away, is that essentially our serial killer, Lola Pettigrew, which we know from First Day, she plays Catherine Grace, and she was sex trafficked and, raped as a teenager, times, etc., etc. So, so from the get-go, we are getting to know their backstories, both lead characters, the cop and the killer, and they're complicated, really complicated. So there's lots of moral issues around it, because generally speaking, the guys that she's targeting are not nice people. So interesting, but it's way more complicated than that. Like, one scene, like yeah, the daughter of one of the guys she's kind of planning on killing turns up at one stage, and adds a whole new layer to
yeah,
things.
yeah.
So hard recommend on that. But to go back to what we were talking about, Ted Lasso a little bit
Ted
earlier.
Lasso.
So
Ted Lasso is back.
tell us about Ted.
Yeah,
Tell us about Ted. I have been wanting to start this, but I am, uh, yeah, I've just been too busy, which
yeah, yeah.
sounds really, but I have just had too
Well,
much
I mean,
on.
it's summer,
So,
isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
and I love Ted Lasso. I know you were getting a bit like, but I love Ted Lasso. So tell
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I loved season one of Ted Lasso. Like, I watched it when it was the pandemic when it came out, wasn't it? Like, and it was like the perfect TV series for then. I felt it ever so slightly lost its way when episodes just like ended up being like hour plus. Like season
Yeah,
three, like
yeah.
every episode was like
There was
mega
no
long.
real need for that, was there?
No,
Like, I'd love
no.
those sweet spot 40 minutes. I'd love that,
Yeah,
like, but mm,
but and then it ended, and it did one of these things that I just least favorite like TV thing in recent times. Like Light and Duty's done it a couple of times where they sort of like play coy with whether it's actually ending or not, and it's just like,
mm,
yeah, just
we just want to
either
test the
end or
waters.
don't.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
so I wasn't planning to watch Ted Lasso when it came back. I was like, I'm done. It's finished. The things happened that happened, and we move on. And but I thought, it's a podcast. I probably should check it
yeah,
out. And it's actually really good. Like
yeah. So
season,
for
like
people
this
who haven't
season.
watched it, basically Ted Lasso kind of wrapped up the whole Ted being the coach of the
Yeah,
English football team, and he was going back to America, and that was kind of it.
yeah.
Um, However, we then
However,
get this new series where Ted is now coaching a female team. Is
yeah,
that
he's
right?
coaching the
Back in
women's.
England.
Yeah, he's the same. So he's
Okay.
coaching at Richmond, but the Richmond women's team,
Okay.
and they're like, I think they're basically like semi-pro amateur. Like
Mm.
they're brand new team. They're not sort of superstars or
Polished.
anything. Like
Yeah.
it's like, and it's quite nice. Like it's got. after the first couple of episodes, they start introducing like the new team, and there's like
plenty new characters to play with.
And there's a lot of fun stuff. Like there's one of and there's a new coach, so there's like Beard's back, but there's this new coach who's like Alice, she's called, and she's like, she wanted to be the women's head coach, but lost it out to Ted. And so there's like an interesting dynamic there. There's like one of the women's team is called Boots, and she's like a goalkeeper who doesn't wear gloves because of like things, and like that's why she doesn't like. That's why she's playing for Richmond, because all the other teams like, why are you not wearing gloves? Like, you're a keeper, wear keeper's gloves. And you know, the most recent episode, there's a thing about like how to get them all to bond because they're all broken into a clique, and there's like going to a pub quiz that goes hilariously right and then hilariously wrong, and it's fun. Like,
sounds very much like Ted Lasso.
It's like Ted Lasso. Like, I think Ted at the moment in the show is just sort of back to kind of Coach Ted, and not Ted's dealing with deeper issues like the sort of third season,
psychological issues he was having.
So which obviously like is important to deal with, but I think
we'll get to that in like series 3 of this one, I suppose.
So it's really fun. Like it is like old Ted Lasso, and something that clicked for me is, it's a comedy series, but it's also a fantasy in a way, because it's like an England that never rains. Like this, maybe I missed this in season 3 or whatever, but like the first episode or the second episode, there's like the shareholders meeting of the team, and it's all the sort of local people that appear in the episodes that are like in the pubs and around and stuff, and the sort of idea of a Premier League team that's it's talking about, are they going to make the Champions League, and being fan owned sort of is a fantasy, isn't it? It's always sunny, it never rains, everyone like problems can be solved by coming together, and the women originally are in like a sort of terrible like changing room that they don't get to keep. They sort of have to sort of share it. They don't,
I think that's probably more reflective of reality, to be fair.
Yeah. But then bang, it's now they've got a lush, that like they just do a bit of elbow grease.
You know what though, Matt? You said at the very start of this, you said started in COVID, it was what we all needed, and maybe it is just what we all need. We just need a little bit of escapism that isn't always tragic and sad. That has a little bit of a story, has some nice characters, and actually usually makes us end up feeling warm inside.
Exactly. Like, it's nice. It's leaning back into the nice as opposed to the too heavy stuff, which I think
it had gone a long way that way. Exactly, you're right. I think you're right. I think it's more like a teenage drama. You could probably compare it more to like watching an ongoing like teenage drama series where conflict resolution, and nothing extremely bad ever happens.
That sort of status quo of like a Simpsons where everything's back to normal at the sort of start of the next episode.
Okay, well, thanks for that. We've spent way too much time talking about what we've been watching, but just to finish up really quickly, in a brief sentence or two, do you agree that The Bear ended well, Matt?
Yeah, like a flight that arrives at the airport, they stuck the landing. There was a bit of turbulence, but they got through and stuck the landing. If it was TripAdvisor, I would recommend. I'd give it that little owl symbol, the golden owl.
Just landed. Oh, nice. Yeah, I agree. It was a bit Hollywood, maybe a bit too Hollywood for me a little bit, but there was enough of the dark stuff loitering to let us know that they were all still human, and very good. Okay, we're going to talk about the films we've been watching this summer. I will start this time. Toy Story 5, highly recommend. There's always something for everybody in Toy Story. Very, very generally the story is that, the toys are threatened by this new tablet toy that's come into the house, the Leap Pad Lily, and essentially it's a story of them sort of coming to understand what that means for them, the threat that it presents, and how Bonnie is going to be affected by the whole thing, etc. Bonnie's struggling to make friends. How can they all help
Mm-hmm.
or not or what? And like the kids watch it in one way, and then the adults watch it in another way. We actually went to the
Yeah.
cinema to see it, and there was bits where I was like wiping a tear away from my eye, and my kids were like, "Whatever." They don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess
Yeah.
the stuff that affects us doesn't always
Yeah.
affect
Yeah.
them. They see it
Yeah.
from a different, and maybe it's nostalgia and things that kind of affect
Mhm.
us more. But it's a lovely story and lots of good gags about, like there's a really funny gag about Woody getting older and he's got a bald spot and all this stuff. And
Oh no.
I really love there was a whole new troupe of Buzz Lightyears who are like the most recent sort of almost AI version, and that's absolutely hilarious. Well, it's so clever, so clever. It's always been so clever. The stuff they do that you're like, oh my god, that's amazing that they came up with it. So absolutely recommend. Even if you don't have kids to watch it with, I would highly recommend. The other thing I watched, which was a bit random, but Heartstopper Forever, which is the concluding
Yeah.
film to the
Film.
Heartstopper
Yeah.
series. So there's been 3 series since 2022. It was teenage love drama, which has now kind of spawned some fantastic young actors. But the film, I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. The film is literally, I mean, it's called Heartstopper Forever. That is it. It's literally just the love story continues. You could guess. I mean, the the couple get into a little bit of strife
Yeah.
and then there's an ending. I mean, you can
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Like, it's so
Yeah. Exactly.
straightforward, but it's harmless and it's
Yeah.
cute and it's kind of what every teenage drama should be
Yeah.
like.
Exactly.
So
And
I would highly recommend. But I didn't know this. I heard that Kit Connor, who plays Scott, no, sorry, Kit Connor in it, he's been cast to play Scott Summers in the new Marvel, which is
yeah.
massive.
Yeah. The
He's
Scotsman.
Cyclops,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Yeah.
And Joseph Locke was actually in a Marvel Universe
Oh
miniseries
yeah.
as well.
The Agatha,
Agatha
the
all along,
witch. Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
this is so weird because it's like this little British drama,
Yeah.
but they've obviously got the look, and they're
Yeah.
really good
And
actors. So worth the watch. I think if you haven't watched the series, you probably won't be that invested in the
yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
So I would say,
Start with the
maybe watch,
series.
yeah. But the one criticism I had of it was there's a bit in the middle where there's like a pride parade and they're trying to encourage people to go down to, and they really glance over the issues to trans people. There's a trans character. They
Yeah.
really glance over it. Like it's quite sugar coated. It's like one
Mm.
sentence where she
Yeah.
says, I really need you to come to Pride because people are trying to prevent me from being in public. Something like that. When
Yeah.
it's like way worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
um but look again, target audience and all that, maybe they're just trying
Yeah.
to be more
Yeah.
celebratory than negative for
And
LGBTQ plus
I
people.
guess sometimes you have to acknowledge that, like, if it's like a rom-com movie, is there
Yeah.
the space to properly
But they
do
dealt with
that?
a lot of serious
Mm.
issues like eating disorders
Yeah.
and discrimination and things like that. So yeah, I think they probably could have looked into it a bit
Okay.
more, but time was past, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
because the series might have been the time to do that rather than
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
movie.
Yeah. More than the
Yeah.
wrap-up. Yeah.
So anyway, that was that. And then the final thing I want to mention was I went along to an amazing event at the Edinburgh International Festival a couple of weeks ago. It was the 30th anniversary celebration for Trainspotting the
Oh,
movie.
wow. 30
So I
years.
watched Trainspotting on a huge screen in this beautiful old town hall with about 1,000 other people and Irvin Welsh, Hugh McGregor, Kevin McKidd, Ewan Bremner, and loads of crew. The screenwriter, James Fond, is it? Um, one of the set designers, costume designers, like it was phenomenal. So essentially what they
Oh,
did was they
wow.
played the movie and
Yeah.
then at certain points they'd stop and talk about either the action on the screen
Oh,
or,
wow.
how someone was cast or how did you think Robert Carlyle was going to play Begbie and was he over the top and was that how you
Yeah.
imagined it? And, stuff like that. So it was really insightful. And
Mhm.
I mean, I've watched it for years, even though I love it. And just such an ace film. And like, the soundtrack is just phenomenal. And yeah, hearing
Mhm.
from the actors made it amazing as well. So again, I would recommend it. They've released a new 4K version of it to celebrate the 30th anniversary. So I would recommend to anybody to check it out. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely Hugh McGregor's heyday, if you ask me. And
Yeah. Iconic
I'm
movie.
not a massive Irvin Welsh fan of his writing, but you cannot
Okay.
go wrong with Trainspotting. It's
No,
absolutely
Trainspotting. Yeah. I
iconic.
on the thing of Trainspotting, I saw in York that the musical was coming. I was like, oh, there's a
Oh,
musical, and then then it's been like
wah,
cancelled.
wah. Actually gone.
Yeah,
Although
well,
the
we'll quickly move
Trainspotting
on.
stage show is still on in Edinburgh at the moment, so if that's
Yeah,
touring around, that's got really good reviews. So,
yeah.
I don't know if that's touring after the festival, but I would urge you to check that out. Also, they were saying they hope to revive the musical when
Okay,
things are a bit more economically
maybe they have
stable.
to work on it a bit. Like maybe they were a
Yeah,
bit too
yeah,
ambitious to go from off Broadway to. Oh no, not off the West End. Broadway's American,
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
end
yeah.
to like a
Straight
national.
there,
So
straight
yeah,
there. Exactly, exactly. What have you been watching? Odyssey,
I've this year managed to go to both of the sort of two big money making
blockbusters.
blockbusters. Maybe it's
Sure.
because the cinema they have aircon, so it's a
Mm,
reason to go
yeah.
in during all these heat
True.
waves.
True. True.
But
True.
we went to see like sort of a big group of us went to see the Odyssey. Obviously, that was I have not read the Odyssey. Like
No, not
you know
many
like
people have. They might
no like
pretend to have, but they haven't.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're familiar with like the Broadstocks. Yeah, there's the
Yes.
horse that people
Yeah.
hide in, and
The
you
Trojan
know,
horse. Yeah.
and it's a long journey, and yeah,
Yes.
they didn't have
The
GPS back
vague
in the day,
idea.
so it was
Yeah.
harder to harder to get home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Christopher Nolan's really good. Like, I really really enjoyed that movie. Like, yeah,
Mm.
it's a really good movie. I'm not shocked that Christopher Nolan knows how to make a really good film. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
there's some choices that Christopher Nolan does. Like, his movies have that sort of grey look, and if you don't want that, like, obviously that's yeah, tough luck. And like, yeah, some of the costumes before you sort of gripe, and you're like, oh, they could have looked a bit more. They look a bit like they've just sort of grabbed whatever was in the cupboard at the studio. But it all works for me. Like those weird guys that look like they're sort of out of Star Wars, where they're like in like big, it's on the poster, like they're in big grey armor and like massive, like really worked for me. I was like, yeah, cool. Like, yeah, this is really cool. And there's lots of really memorable
I think
moments.
there's been a little bit of criticism, yeah, from like the proper Greek historians or
Yeah,
whatever. But you know what? It's a movie. It's
it's
supposed to entertain people. So
and it's a movie that's about modern day. Like it's made
yeah.
in 2026. Like it's more
Mhm.
about like yeah, you got everyone speaking with an American accent. It's like maybe because it's kind of about America,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like in our
Yeah.
modern world, and
Interesting.
so it's really fun. And there's a scene with the Cyclops that's really well done, like kind of horror that makes me think like Christopher Nolan, do an obsession, do a horror movie, like scare us. I think he could do a good job. So yeah, I saw that. It's really fun, like worth watching if you get the chance. Like we ended up having a nice debate in the pub after seeing it, so that's a sign that it was a good movie. One of our friends was upset that it wasn't like some musical on TikTok that apparently exists.
Okay.
There's like some like TikTok Odyssey musical, and then I
Yeah.
watched a clip of it and I was like, not for me, not for me.
Hilarious. Avoid.
Well, we won't slander people making things on TikTok.
I'm still hoping that I will see it before the end of the summer.
I
But
mean,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah, and
Yep.
that one was a more solitary. It's like my friends
Was
weren't
it?
as excited to see Spider-Man. I mean, it's the first Marvel film I've seen in cinema since I don't
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
years and years. I was going to say since the Batman, but that's not Marvel, is it? So
Yeah. No.
probably the first superhero movie I've seen since the Batman. But
Okay.
it's really good. Like Tom Holland, I like Spider Man. Like I was a
Yeah.
kid when the '90s cartoon was on, so I think
Mhm.
I'm sort of stuck with Spider Man now
There's a
for
lot of positive,
forever.
just in general,
Yeah.
though, there's a lot of positive vibes about it. Like Marvel gets a lot of kicking
Mm.
for the way they've just expanded too much and the universe has become absolutely massive. But a lot of people have said it's the best Spider-Man
Yeah, it's
movie for a
it's
long
it's
time. So
definitely I'd say probably the best Tom Holland Spider Man. It's quite grounded, like like the one they did a few years ago where like Tobey Maguire and stuff came back. Like that was sort of like chock full of people, and you sort of lose the sort of main trio of him, Zendaya, and
focus.
the pal Ned. Yeah, Ned. That's his name. Yeah, Ned. Um, and yeah, this one brings it back, and Sadie Sink is really, really good in that movie. Unsurprisingly, because she was really good in Stranger Things. But yeah,
Yeah.
she'll be teaming up with Kit Connor for Was it
The
Kit
next
Connor
Marvel.
from? Yeah, there
Yeah,
she's playing Jean
yeah.
Grey in
Are
the
they a
X
couple?
Men.
They're a
So
couple, aren't they?
I
They're a
think so.
couple.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. I think
great.
so. I remember that from like the
The
Brian Singer
cartoon.
movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and the
It's the
cartoon.
character
Yeah.
I would remember it from. Okay, so the big question is, Matt, is it still worth going to the cinema to watch a film?
Oh, definitely. Like, there's nothing like seeing a movie on a big screen. Like, it just pulls you in, doesn't you? It's like so
Yes.
immersive. Like, yeah, I love
Even
it.
if it costs you an arm and a leg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would say hell yeah. You know, it's an event, it is an experience. The recliners are just better than your sofa as well, aren't they? And
Mm-hmm.
certain films are made to be watched in the cinema. I feel like The Odyssey is
Yeah.
definitely a lot of action adventure films, fantasy films, best watched in the cinema. But you know what? I think watching anything on the big screen, it just kind of sucks you in a lot more, and you can't
Mm-hmm.
be on your
Yeah.
phone and stuff like
No,
that. So
no, no.
yeah, long live the cinema. We're looking ahead to autumn now, and there's so much coming up, Matt. But we want to talk a little bit about Strictly. But a few of the things that I had noticed are coming up that I wasn't fully aware of was Blue Light Series 4, hallelujah, Pride and Prejudice, a new version coming to Netflix, and Colin from Accounts is returning too, which is absolutely awesome. We'll have another series of Saturday Night Live as well. But let's talk about Strictly first. A lot of change here this year.
Yeah, so obviously last year was the final year for Claudia Winkleman and Tess Daly as the sort of co-presenters. So they've left, and there's going to be a new trio. It's Emma Willis, who obviously like is a super reliable
Yeah,
TV
yeah.
presenter. She's presented
Hmm.
so many things. Then Josh Widdicombe, no relation, is he's one of those sort of he's a comedian sort of everywhere. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he was on Celebrity Traitors within a few years, to be honest.
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
fill that spot. But I really liked the his Josh sitcom on the BBC years ago. So I think he'll be a decent
Yeah.
job. And then there's a name I'm 100% going to butcher, and I'm really sorry, Strictly fans, but former Strictly
Johannes.
pro Johannes
Yeah.
is
Jo-
hanging up his shoes and
Johannes
singing
is
Good Night
fabulous.
Too.
He's fabulous. He's going to bring the sparkle to the whole thing, to be honest with you. I mean, Emma and Josh are like, as you say, Emma Safe Pair of Hands, Josh, Rogue, and then Johannes is kind of like jazz hands.
Outside of Mel and Sue, where they already know each other forever, like how are you gonna
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
dynamic that Claudia and Tess had
Mm-hmm.
after years and years? So it'll be one
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
keep an eye on.
They might change
Lots
the
of
format a little bit in that, like, so that's not that obvious. You know, they might not make them
yeah,
do the
yeah,
same kind of links and stuff that Claudia
yeah,
and Tess used to do, you
yeah.
know. So
I'd imagine like they're probably gonna have Johannes doing the interviews with the after they've done the dances, aren't they? I'd imagine that'd
yeah,
be a good
yeah,
place to let him shine, as they
yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. Looking forward to it. It's a bit of a family watch in our house, so it's nice. It kind of gives us something to
Yeah,
watch together on the weekend that's
kind
pretty
of autumn,
acceptable
early
to all.
winter.
But yeah, because I never watched Strictly until I met my husband, who used to watch Strictly, which is kind of random. And then with his mom, and then now the kids love it, so we're back on it again. But we've also got Great British Bake Off with a new edition of Nigella, which I am so super pumped for. I always watch Bake Off because I find it like it's a little hug that you need in
It's
September
lovely and
when the
slow,
autumn is
isn't it?
coming
It's like,
in.
yeah,
Totally. I don't always stick it out the whole way and watch every single
yeah.
episode, but I
You
think it's going to
can
be
just
great.
dip in and out, can't you? Like
Yeah.
if you're not mega invested in someone winning, you can
Yes.
just be like,
Yeah.
I'll take a week off.
Yes. And it has been that way for a couple of years because they're all so good. You don't really,
Yeah.
there's no underdog, you know, that kind of way.
No.
But I
Yeah.
think the dynamic between Nigella and Paul
Oh,
Hollywood is going to be absolutely hilarious. It's like the
it's
big
sort of
dog competition, you know?
yeah. It's the first time he won't be the big dog, will he?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Mary Berry's obviously a legend, but like she was obviously happy to let him be big dog, whereas I don't think Nigella's gonna
Yeah.
allow that.
Yeah.
No.
That'll be fab. We'll talk about it much more in an upcoming
Mm-hmm.
episode. We also have this Traitors just around the corner. Oh my God, so much stuff. But Matt, before we go, if you were having a dinner party, who of the Great British Bake Off presenters, past or present, would you invite? Or judges? Any of the
I
hosting?
I would definitely have melon soup because I imagine the conversation would be sparkling and delightful and fun.
Bit of crack.
And then Nigella, like, because I imagine Nigella after a couple of shandies would be hilarious to have there as well. So,
Oh,
yeah,
I'd love it. I would go for Prue, Mary Berry, Nigella, and Alison Hammond, and just have a big feminist bonanza.
Yeah,
I would love that. Right, Roland, Bake Off, and all the other semi-real reality TV / scripted. The autumn is coming, people. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any suggestions for what TV or film we need to get into our lives, drop us a line via social media. We'd love for you to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast so we can reach as many TV lovers as possible. We'll be back again soon with more Screen Babble. Ciao for now.
Bye.